All right, hey, welcome back. Today we are talking about another Codewars challenge. It's another 8Q challenge. It's titled Array plus Array. So the directions are as follows. I'm new to coding, and now I want to get the sum of two arrays. Actually, the sum of all their elements. So pretty much we got these two arrays right here. We want to find the sum of them. So I am expecting this function to output 10, pretty much. That's all I'm trying to get right now. So the way that I'm going to approach this one is I'm going to declare a sum. I'm going to set it to 0. I'm going to join these arrays into one array. And then I'm just going to add these numbers into that sum of 0. So let me show you what I mean. I will declare the variable sum, let sum equals 0. And then I'm going to declare another variable, and I'm going to name that let new array equal array1 dot concat array2. So sum is pretty straightforward. You can see it's 0. But I will show you what I mean on this concat if you're new to the concat method. So return new array. Let's see what we got here. Oops. What did I do? What did I do wrong? That's what I did wrong. Okay. Return new array. So as you can see, our new array is simply just array1 and array2 joined together. So I'm returning it, and we got, when they're separated, it's just an array1, 1 and 2, and array2 is 3 and 4. But if you look over here, this is the new array that we're returning, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4. If you add all these numbers together, you're going to get 10, which is the expected output that we're looking for in this solution. Okay. So there's a lot of different ways that you can approach this. My solutions are not always the best way. It's just sometimes the way that I think of it first, and I go with that method. You could always, refactor it, make it look cleaner, reduce the line amounts in the code, but I'm just going with my first thought. So what I'm going to do, since we haven't covered these yet, I'm going to use a loop and pretty much loop over the array. And I'm going to, change that. I'm going to loop over the array, and every time I loop over a number, I'm going to add it to this sum value right here. So let me just set up the initial loop. And let me explain the initial loop too. New array.length. Okay, so let me separate it too, just for a little bit more clarity. So what the loop is doing is the loop is going to look over this array right here. Let me show you how it's going to do that. So the for loop, what I do is I set my index to 0. I set the counter to start at 0. And when that index is less than the new array dot length, just keep counting, going up to the next one. So new array dot length right here is 4, because we have 4 different indexes or elements in this array. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the loop is basically going to start at 0, and it's going to count through this. The loop is going to go, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. And, it's going to do something. It's going to do whatever I tell it to do within these curly braces right here. So just sort of for, console.log. Let's test it out. So I threw a console.log in the loop to kind of show you what's happening. So every single time this loop sees a number in this new array, it's going to console log hello. So remember, there are 4 numbers in this array. So 4 times it's saying hello right here. See the counter right there? It's saying hello 4 times because it sees 4 numbers. But I don't want to console log hello. I want it to find the sum of all these numbers. And that's when this sum of 0 is going to come into play. So what I'm going to do is every time I see a number in this array of, let me show you at the bottom what array we're looking at since we don't see it anymore. So this is the array that we're seeing. 1, 2, 3, 4. So every time I see a number, I want to take that number and throw it into, or add it into this sum right here. So the loop will go over and it'll look at 1 and it'll say, okay, 0 plus 1. And then we're going to have, and then this sum is going to be a 1. And then it's going to look at the next number and it's going to say, okay, sum, which is now 1, take that sum and add 2 to it. So then we're going to get a 3. Oops, we're going to get a 3. And then it's going to say, okay, next number. Now we got the sum, which is now 3. And coincidentally, our next number is a 3. So it's going to add that 3 to the 3. We're going to get a 6. And then it's going to look at the last number, 4. It's going to say 6 plus 4. And that's going to be 10, our expected output. Okay. So how can we do that? The simplest way is I can set my sum equal to sum plus new array, and I'm going to write the index. Now the index is referring, in a loop, the index is referring to every single element in the array. That's the index. So like if I were to kind of put it in a paint to make it a little bit easier to see. 1, oh geez, hold on. Let's get a brush maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if this is our array, number 1 is an index. Whoops, let me put a different color on this too. Number 1 is an index. Number 2 is an index. Number 3 is an index. And number 4 is an index. So every time it looks over one of these indexes or one of these items, it's going to add that item to that sum, which is starting at 0. So, okay. Let's see what it does. New array, what am I missing? I'm missing the return. Okay. So I'm getting an undefined because I have no return. Every function, you need it to return something. So what I want it to return is this sum right here. Return sum 10. Okay, cool. And that should be it. We got the 10 right here. It's adding all these indexes to the sum of 0. Let's see. Cool. Let's attempt it. Nice. Okay. And we're done here. As always, I would advise you to look at these other solutions that people provide. Having more context and different ways to approach these problems is always a good thing. It'll provide you with just more tools in your toolbox. All right, so that's all for today, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.